Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry. If you're not sober or you're not ready to be sober, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, trending topics, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean, and I am your host. I'm joined by my two very good friends, Corey and Greg. Shout out to Bill. We'll get to that in a minute. Please remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our videos will still be posted each week, so you can watch episodes on YouTube and Facebook. But as always, please be sure to download on your listening platforms, guys and girls. That's what we really need. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle at Trudge Report Pod. As always, the lovely, the beautiful, and talented Miss Janine Stella and Stella Mix Podcast Management brings this episode to you. Gentlemen, good evening. I realize that the way I said that sounded like Bill was dead. He is not dead.
Not dead.
He's not dead. He's alive and well. He's got some very special and important professional things coming up in his life today and tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday as per usual, so he wanted to make sure he got his beauty rest and got plenty of sleep because he's got to be up early for some really good things happening. So special shout out to him. Yeah, and again, right off the top, we want a special shout out to Liberal Dave, one of Corey's good friends and ex-coworkers. That's got some bad medical news, but we're gonna stay positive for Dave. So shout out to him. How we doing, guys? Greg, let's start with you, because if we start with Corey, that'll never go good. I'm just kidding.
No, what? Corey's on cloud nine right now. I can tell.
I'm happy.
He's
very happy.
He's happy.
He was about to say happy AF.
Yeah, I was, but
his dad would get really upset. His dad doesn't want to cuss.
We just started. It's only 2 minutes into the podcast. I don't want to drop one yet. Go ahead, Greg.
I'm doing good, man. We're doing our best to keep warm up here in the chilly state of Ohio, and
I'm sorry.
You know, it's
thought I was muted.
Getting ready. I put up all my Christmas inflatables yesterday, so my yard is looking like a white trash paradise, and I love it.
Christmas dildos, nice, dude.
Love it, dude. I got my Yodas out there, my little my 8-foot Jack Skellington. I got the gnomes. I got it all, man. So it's a little Christmas fun time here. Speaking of which, I'm currently broke. I don't know about you two boys, but man, I mean, like, I knew inflation was up, but dude, Christmas hit a little different this year. It was,
yeah, smiled into the mix, and
not in this household. My wife gets the same budget she's been getting the last few years, and she always does a great job on it.
You gotta bump it up. Inflation's up like 8%.
No, I don't. No. I don't bump up the budget. You know what I do? I solicit family members. Hey, Mom, would you want to buy this specific thing for Grace and Sophia? Dad, how about you take care of this?
Yeah, I was actually getting ready to call you.
Couple of the big items. Hey, couple of the big items, and there you go. And now that budget can stay the same for the missus, and she can go to town.
Yeah, I was gonna call you and be like, hey, so Lucy and Noah really want this. If you're looking for, they're in the room, so I can't even discuss this. But
yeah,
hi, Lucy and Noah.
I think they're asleep, but.
Oh, that's good. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Greg. So everything's up for Christmas. Is it snow up there yet?
So we got walloped last week with snow. But it was like 50 and rainy today. But yeah, we're expecting some colder temperatures and more
either
snow.
Be like kind of nice out and a little warm or on the warmer side, or be completely frigid cold with snow and sunny, but don't give me 50 and rainy. You know what I mean? That's
well, yeah, because I saw 50 in the forecast, and I'm like, let's go, and then it's just as cold. It feels like it's 30 degrees anyways.
That's the signature brown leather jacket weather up here, which I did get to wear this past Friday. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute.
You know what? You need a fedora and a bullwhip to go with that sucker.
I'm not wearing
Indiana Jones
fedora
out here, dude.
Well, I do like the sound of that. I am a big Indiana Jones fan. Dr. Jones.
It belongs in a museum.
It belongs. Dad.
Love it.
Corey. Fly.
Hey.
What kind of birds are you again? Fly, parrots, fly. What are they?
Whatever.
Mockingbirds.
I want to discuss something that pisses me off for a second.
Are we at that segment already?
Since you asked me to be positive. No, because I actually, I don't even want to give it more power, but like I'm going to because
Fire away.
I know we have several thousand listeners, but it's not like too many thousands.
Across international listeners too, by the way.
Correct. I don't know how you can be on a 9-game winning streak and bitching to the media.
Oh, that's what we're doing. Okay. I thought this was something serious. Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I must have missed that. What
about the
flew me in?
AJ Brown. AJ Brown.
He's a malcontent, dude.
It wasn't so okay.
He's
like
talented,
I don't want to.
But he's a malcontent.
I know, but like, I don't want to like blow it out of proportion because I feel like, everybody's gonna do that. The media, especially, because I mean, they don't usually do that with anything, but with the Eagles. But yeah, after
no other team ever gets that treatment. You're right.
No, I just mean the media in general is always truthful and doesn't blow things out of proportion.
Hey.
But after the game, they're doing their media talks and whatever, and he's just pissy, just sitting there, and they're asking him. I think what they asked him was like, "What do you think offensively should be improved?" And he's like, "Passing." Just giving these short, like pissy answers, just being a whatever.
A malcontent. Yeah.
Yeah. And
he
I'm
is.
like,
and he's not going to change, but as long as he keeps producing for you, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, but I mean, what did he I didn't even notice what he did. What did he do in the game?
Really nothing.
Got his stats for the game.
I'll look it up right now. I got it right here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, but like I think there was 2 passing touchdowns. It wasn't him though, I don't think.
Yeah.
It wasn't. He had 4 receptions for 43 yards, only 4 targets.
Yeah, so
but nobody did. He had the highest amount of reception yards on the whole team. But Smith and Calcaterra got the touchdowns.
Right.
And then Jalen Hurts obviously rushed for 1.
So yeah, whatever. He's not thrilled. Great.
When you got Saquon rushing for $124 though, you don't need to pass that often.
It's just a little bit disheartening because like this whole season, since the bye at least, since they've been winning, it seemed that everybody was being a team player about it. Like obviously Saquon is having a hell of a season and probably our most valuable player for sure, I would say. And it just is what it is. Like you got to do what you're good at, right? And we're good at giving Saquon the ball, and that's what's going on now. So my thing is like get the damn frown off your face when you just won 9 straight. And then to make it even worse, about an hour ago, a radio show dropped a video. Brandon Graham sitting there because he has nothing to do these days, talking about the situation. And I'm just like, why are you talking? Like, you're an active player, dude. And he's just making it worse. Like, basically, now the media is picking that apart, saying, like, oh, sounds like Hurts and Brown aren't friends anymore. Well, I didn't know that they had to be friends. I don't think they're really paid to be friends, paid to be teammates. But, whatever. Anyway, I'm just bitching. But, like, I just don't want it to break everything apart. Like, I don't want the morale to, like, get bad now and something to happen.
With all due respect, I can't do this. I can't do this every single week in and week out, lamenting about your 10-2 or whatever you are, Eagles.
I would look into firing you then.
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Bigger.
Well, I do have something to say about that real quick. Just real quick is number one with the sports media in general nowadays, and it's been this way for a while, but number one, the sky is always falling. If you guys haven't noticed, right? It's like, that's their job to pick every little thing apart. And number two, the guy, I mean, AJ Brown's a stud. The guy is otherworldly. Like Sean was saying, super talented, but why is it that it's always the wide receivers, man? It's always the wide receivers.
They're
the biggest
stars,
fucking prima donnas, man. That's what I love about running backs. Most of them are quiet, put their head down, put the team on their back, let's go. And
that's the whole philosophy of a running back too, right?
Right, exactly.
Charge,
and like, I can't imagine being on a team, and maybe it's because I played team sports, football specifically, for a long time, but like, I can't imagine calling out my team after a victory, especially when my running back is finally getting his just desserts and he's finally you know, like he's in the MVP conversation. He's having a historic season. He just broke in not even a full season. The guy broke the Eagles' all-time rushing record. You know what I'm saying? Like that's insane, right? So yeah, let the guy have his flowers, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's bitching about a win and how successful the team is being after they win. It's kind of like the same thing of Corey just bitching and moaning about the Eagles in general after they win every single week.
What about
not only during the game, but every Monday on the podcast after they have won like 8-9 games in a row.
I love like there will be like not even through the first quarter, and it'll be like an Eagles 3-and-out punt, and Corey immediately, it's just like clockwork. Eagles fucking suck. Every week without fail. I love it.
Last week he said it. He was like, "You guys don't even respond anymore."
No, you're right.
He's searching for it.
I'm growing to hate texting you guys because I throw a bunch of stuff out there. I get completely ignored, which half of me can't blame you for it, but I'm not somebody that can live like that. You can't ignore me. It doesn't work.
Hey, but you know what? Maybe it's a good luck charm because it's working for you guys. 9 straight. That's a big deal, especially in the NFL. So
it's about to end this week. Anyway, what about the Chiefs, Sean?
I'm not even talking about that, dude. I wanted to talk about conference championships in college football.
Let's go.
Because we're nearing Penn State lost, which,
yeah,
no offense, but nobody ever really picked them to beat Oregon. Oregon's literally the number 1 team in the country. They're undefeated. The 45-37 score, it wasn't even really as close as that. Penn State did do a good job of trying to climb back in it. I'll give it to them. The good news for Penn State, Corey, is that you're matched up with SMU, which is the number 11 seed in the first round, which any of the 12 teams that make the playoffs can beat any other team for the most part, you know, with some wiggle room on any given day. But I think like that's a pretty favorable matchup for you guys, is having the 11 seed. I mean, for instance, Texas gets Clemson, which is not an easy matchup, right? You know, it just, there's some, like, the path to victory, even for some of these higher seeded teams are you know, if Texas wins, then Arizona State, who won their conference championship and gets a first round bye, they have to play Texas. That's no, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of a bit backwards. So you guys drew pretty good with the SMU. And then what else? Georgia, the Georgia-Texas game was unbelievable. Obviously, was battle of the defenses, was 16-13, went into overtime.
Yep.
You know, just a one in the trenches.
That's the kind of college game I love to see. You know,
yeah,
because you don't see that kind of defensive just stand in college football very often. So yeah, it was great.
Carson Beck gets hurt, the starting quarterback for Georgia. His backup comes in, Gunnar Henderson, and just lights it up, but just like pretty much amazes everybody though, and ends up running, you know, for the did he run for the touchdown at the end? Was it him? No, he handed it off, but
yeah.
It's right. He ran for that one last play, got the first down, and got absolutely cracked at the goal line, cracked, like rattled that boy's cage. But he's so that was a good game. What else? The Clemson SMU game was a blowout the whole game, and then SMU stormed back, and Clemson won by a field goal. Field goal kicker for Clemson is from that area, like grew up there. His like sister and aunt and mom all went to Clemson. So cool story there. But I love the NFL. I will watch NFL all the time. I like college more. I'm sorry. I like college football more. I know that you can get some lopsided games, but like when you have like true blue real matchups, like that Georgia Tech game that went into 8 overtimes the other day.
Yeah,
you're simply not going to get that in college in the NFL.
No,
simply because their overtime rules are different. But there's something way different. There's an emotional energy so much different when you have a rivalry game like that.
And you know, the other thing is, I hate to play into like the conspiracy theories and all that kind of crap, but like, I mean, I'm an avid NFL fan. I love watching NFL.
Same here.
And the refs decide way too many of these games, man.
In the NFL.
Oh God, it's just it's pretty disgusting on some of the, you know, especially when you have as we're getting this late into the season and there are playoff aspirations on the line and seeding and everything like that. It's just
yeah. So that was exciting. I enjoy this time. I'm excited to see the new 12-team format and see what happens.
Ohio State's going if we beat the Vols, which is the dumbest name,
the Volunteers. Do you know that,
the
Corey?
Volunteers.
Tennessee, they're the Volunteers.
I lived in Tennessee for 3 years, and those people care about nothing except college football.
In those towns, it's absolutely true. It's really,
Wild.
really, especially because
they don't care about They don't care about the Titans. Nobody in Tennessee cares about the Titans.
Well, have the Titans given them any reason to care about them?
I'm just saying.
They were all right a couple years ago when they remember they lost to Cincinnati in the conference championship.
And then what happened? They gave away AJ Brown.
I know. I was trying there. I was trying. Indiana Notre Dame is an intriguing matchup first round. SMU, Penn State, like we mentioned, Tennessee, Ohio State should be a really good game. I think on paper, Ohio State's got to be favored, but Tennessee's no joke though either, man. They're pretty good.
If we make it out of that, we got Oregon off the bat.
Exactly. That's what. Exactly. Yeah. So you got Arizona State, Oregon, Boise State, which is they're going to end up changing that rule and then Georgia got the first round bye. You know, when's the last time? This is a brand new format, but like a non-Power 5 team getting a first round bye, like they're going to end up changing that somehow and figuring something out. But anyways, that'll be good. What else, guys? What do we want to kick to next? Did you guys see? I think just in current events, we should mention that the United Healthcare murderer he got arrested. Luigi Mangione.
We got to be careful here. We got to be careful. He is a person of interest.
Person of interest. And we don't believe here on the Trudge Report that he has any mafia ties, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there just based on the name that he might have some ties.
He's part of a plumbing company ran with his brother.
Yeah.
So
found in Altoona, Pennsylvania, by the way, which I think it was on this here podcast where we debated the whole Altoona pizza thing.
Oh yeah, the pizza.
For something always now sticks in my mind. Every time I see it, it always just sticks in my mind.
Right.
So I think that's partly why Bill's not here, because Altoona is fairly close to Pittsburgh. I don't know what's going on over there, harboring fugitives, but we do have to shout out that.
I think it's completely believable that somebody would shoot an insurance company's CEO in the back because of a multitude of reasons.
I think
here's the deal.
Believable. I also think it's believable that there's a freaking mafia hit out on the dude.
Either a mafia hit or you know, it could be competition or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know,
right.
like we all sit here and say like, you know, it was probably just some whack job or whatever, because that's normally what it is.
I don't believe
this situation, dude, is like something out of a movie. Okay, like this guy was highly trained, knew how to use a firearm, knew how to clear a firearm jam,
and escaped on a bicycle.
On a bicycle
in broad daylight,
in the biggest city in the United States, with a camera every 4 feet. Yeah, so that dude knew what he was doing, and he I don't know. It's these people, and they got a lot of money, and
insurance is a scam.
All that kind of stuff is
hell yeah, it's a scam. And I'll tell you what, this
scam.
It's funny. It's not funny, but like it's something that it's like this huge headline, and most of America probably looked at the TV and went, so. And like I don't mean that to be like,
no, you're probably right. They
but
probably said something like serves him right or whatever, especially once it came out. My dad was explaining it to me exactly how that a lot of that stuff works with like healthcare.gov, you know, marketplace, and how the government will pay these insurance companies to manage these premiums. And it's just it's what did he say? What was it, like $86 billion or something they made, United Healthcare, and they're not even the biggest. They're like the third biggest, which is wild. So
they should have bumped that reward up a little bit more though, because $10,000 to help catch this dude is a little insulting. That's probably why they didn't catch it.
They didn't give a shit. They didn't care.
I agree.
We'll just pick up some random dude in Altoona. Say it's
All right, I have a question. This was posed on another podcast I was listening to the other day, and I'm catching you guys completely off guard. So we're gonna have some fun with this.
Send it.
Best places to sleep that are not a bed.
Cardboard in Camden, New Jersey.
Best places to sleep that are not a bed, and this can be sleeping it off because you're drunk and just whatever, or like for some of us, like legit homelessness. Best places to sleep that are not. So my mind first, I'll start off. My mind first goes to like, okay, what is like warm and dry, right? And I always think of like, the bathrooms at like parks and stuff like that, like outside of the elements, like going inside and not being completely in the wilderness or in the woods. Like if it's raining or that's where like my mind goes initially. Like I go to like, am I homeless and where would I want to sleep? Right. Church pavilions, stuff like that, like stuff that has cover and is kind of like secluded from the element. Now we live in Florida, except for Greg, so it never gets that cold out. But there's a few weeks a year that you can freeze your little nips off out and being homeless in Florida.
So you're just saying plain old best place?
Anything, take it wherever you want. Take it wherever you want.
Because
if I'm really going, it's the couch in the the couch in the breastfeeding room at my office, because we do have one, and I like to take naps there every now and then.
Wait, you have a breastfeeding room in your office?
Yeah, it's the milk room, dude.
The milk room?
Not in my office. Well, yeah, in my office. Not in like my specific office, but in the building. Yes, we have a very large office, and there's like 8 bathrooms, and I have christened every single one of them multiple times over. And we have a lot of rooms, and we're all still on a hybrid schedule. So there's never anyone in there except for, 2, 3, 4 other people. So yeah, there's a down the hall and to the left of my office, there's an actual like breastfeeding room for like mothers that are bringing their kids. Yeah.
God bless America.
I don't mind it. It's got a couch. It's nice. It's got a nice, warm blanket and some pillows. And I've been known to take a
relaxing
15-minute nap in there. Yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I would just say
only at the end of my lunch break, obviously, when I'm not on the clock, of course.
Right.
Sure.
Of course.
I would just say a couch in general. I like a good couch nap. You know what I mean?
Get creative, dude. Come on, let's get creative. Yeah.
I said Camden, New Jersey, cardboard.
There you go.
Church steps.
All right. So I can say from experience. So in my previous affairs, right? A train station, an abandoned train station in downtown Cleveland, Ohio sucks. It sucks. I mean, you got to like sleep sitting up, and you kind of got to sleep with one eye open, make sure you don't get robbed.
Yep.
But it did provide adequate cover from the elements.
Yeah.
And there weren't too many rats. So that's,
that's that was always my fear when I was sleeping outside, was like the bugs, dude. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like that.
A homeless shelter is always a go-to, except they don't like it when you get high in the homeless shelter. So
that is true.
Word of the warning. You're not supposed to do both of those things. Right. Yeah.
I never made it to a shelter.
But yeah, dude, I'll couch it up. I can't really say I've. You know what? I will say this. What about the floor of the roadway in
in Lawrence, South Carolina,
South Carolina,
yes.
boys.
Yeah,
I'll sleep on that sucker anytime.
Oh, I got another one. I really, really enjoy sleeping in a car where Greg is driving us home after a Dave Matthews concert. Between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. I like sleeping during that time while he can just drive.
He sure does.
It almost cost me my life a few times, but we're here.
I am an excellent driver, even if I'm falling asleep.
If you're sleeping, though, you'll never know what hit you. So
yeah, it freaks me out even worse.
It's fine.
That's right.
There's nothing. Give me a good like lazy boy recliner, like one of those Sunday afternoon baseball game, football game, just big meal naps, just out cold to the world for like a good solid hour or something.
And you know what? I will say this, like kind of piggybacking on what Corey was saying, is like I've kind of gotten it down to a science because I've driven down to Florida several times now to come down there and visit you guys. Like I like to do that in a straight shot, but it is a 15.5 hour drive. So like what I'll do is I'll leave here usually around like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I'll drive as long as I can before I'm like, you know what? It's no longer safe for me to be on the road. And I will pull into a rest stop and I'll just fold the seats in the Jeep back and I'll throw a blanket down, and it's really not that bad. It's, get like an hour of shut eye and then get right back on the road,
But if I'm in the car, he's like, I got another couple hours in me. I can go.
I can go, baby. I can go.
It starts storming and shit.
In high school, you get the hoodie, right? And you throw the hoodie on over top of you, and you just put the hands down on the desk.
Yeah, right on the desk.
Some gnarly naps with that,
Yep.
Get some gnarly naps with that. So I don't do airplanes are tough. I have a hard time. I have a hard time anywhere where, like, if I'm sitting up even remotely and I put my head, if my head doesn't have something to keep it still, because I always go, like my head fall, you know what I mean? So that's a tough one. And then my neck always seems to hurt after sleeping on an airplane. Cars are fine. I can sleep in cars, no problem. Stuff a blanket or a jacket or a pillow or something in the side. I have no issue with that. No issue with that. What else was there I wanted to... I wanted to say, so, we're all homeowners or renters, or we have families, right? That I was amazed when I became a father and then eventually a homeowner, the amount of stuff that I learned how to do, like handyman wise, right? Just random stuff, or that I never even thought I knew how to do or could do with a little video, which obviously you can find anything on YouTube.
Yes.
I was amazed at how much stuff I could do. And it became like very satisfactory to me to do that stuff. So the question is, like, most satisfying, and I know, Greg, you're a little more handy than us, so you'll outdo us, but most satisfying kind of home improvement project, building something, kids, whatever it is, fixing a car, whatever it is that you're most proud of. For me, it was the playground set that I bought, years ago, and literally comes in like 500 pieces, and had to put it all together. And it took me, I'd work on it just a little bit each day or a little bit every few days or whatever it was. And it took me forever, but man, what a feeling when I put that bad boy together. And I still have it. It still stands in my backyard. It's not very sturdy anymore. Safety hazard, but it's up.
That, I would have to say, for me, I built a fire pit, and which maybe doesn't seem like too crazy, but like, Corey's seen my house. I had to, it's all made out of block. It's all, it's a block fire pit. And I had to carry each one of those blocks around the back of my house and down a hill to get it to where my walkout is, because it was not accessible by vehicle or anything like that. So, about, I think it was a total of like 74 blocks.
One at a time?
Well, I tried 2 at a time first, and then I almost came down the hill the wrong way and busted my ass. So it was one at a time.
You couldn't get like a wheelbarrow or something? Or
I tried.
I've never been to your house
but then you're going down, because all right. So the hill, the way they have it designed is like the house is built at the crest of a huge like hill going down into the ravines, and it's not. There's no nice little steps or whatever. They put like natural stone walkway path in there, so it's like, yeah, you hit that wrong with the wheelbarrow, the whole wheelbarrow is gonna go over, So yeah, we got a lot of steps in. Got my steps in that day. But yeah, that was really cool. For as far as like the regular run of the mill stuff, it's kind of crazy because I got a really long ass driveway. I love shoveling that sucker in the wintertime when it's snowing. But I also, the best purchase I've made, because I get covered with leaves. I'm surrounded by trees. I got one of those backpack industrial Husqvarna backpack leaf blowers, and I love that shit. I'll throw the headphones on. I'll be out there for hours listening to various podcasts while I'm just blowing leaves, boy, and I love it.
Nice. What about you, Corey?
I'm not very handy at all.
I didn't think I was either. You would surprise yourself, sir.
Well, no,
you would surprise yourself.
I got a little something. So the only thing I've ever been handy with is guitars, and I'm not even joking. Like I can build
And a
specific
crack pipe,
guitars
but-
and a crack pipe. I can build a guitar. I can fix a lot of problems on a guitar. That's all.
Sweet.
That's all well and good. But other than that, I don't have mechanical hands really and stuff like that. However,
What kind of hands do you have, Corey?
little hands. I did feel a very strong sense of accomplishment a couple times with basically anything with a car. If anything with my car, if I can fix it and I do fix it,
Yeah.
that is
I'm the same way,
extremely
yeah.
accomplished.
Yep.
The only thing that comes to mind right now, I know there's been a few things, but my brake light switch went bad in my old car. And in that car, everything was very electronical, and the car literally wouldn't start without it. And I kind of got a little bit of direction from our friend Dustin, and then I went on YouTube, and it cost me about $25 for a new one, and I put it in.
So nice. Yeah.
Yep.
The lid lock sensor system on my washing machine broke back in like May or June, and I researched it and watched some videos and bought the part for like $20 and fixed it, and it was a bit of a pain in the ass. So I was very, very satisfying for that.
Well, you learn stuff too, though. So, like, okay, like I watch a video on how to properly skim coat a bathroom wall that I've torn all the wallpaper off of, and it's like, okay, and then so you can see it, you watch the video 10 times over, and then you actually do it, and of course you don't have the form, you're not a professional, you just
Right.
taking your whack at it, and then you kind of like teach yourself in the long run like how to do it and how to do it in a semi-professional way. So
Yep.
yeah, man, YouTube is
There's
great.
it is really unbelievable what you can find on there. Like it really is. So I don't know. Those are just a couple of things. I had those in the holster. I had them from a previous podcast, but we never got around to it. We're going to talk some holiday movies. Now, I know, Greg, you said you thought we did. I don't think we ever did Christmas movies. I know we did horror
I don't
movies.
think so.
Did we do comedy? We might have done comedy. I think we did I think we did do comedy movies. Yes, but we didn't do Christmas movies. So, go ahead, Greg. Go ahead and start that if you want. So let me say this: Christmas movies, or just like favorite scenes from Christmas movies.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll like kind of improvise a top 5 for you real quick. First off, I will say that if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, the 100 best Christmas movies of all time, the first notable Christmas movie that even gets brought up isn't until number 7, and it's The Nightmare Before Christmas. That might be one of the greatest of all time. Certainly one of my favorites.
That's a Halloween thing around here.
It's an all year kind of thing for me. I still love the soundtrack. I've loved it since I was a kid. I had it on a cassette tape that we used to play in my mom's 1996 Ford Windstar minivan. And that's a lot of fun for everybody. But I could still sing it word for word. Great film. A new entry to add to my new favorite Christmas movie, or one of them, is Terrifier 3 that came out this year. It was phenomenal. if that kind of stuff floats your boat.
Is it an actual Christmas? Does it take place around Christmas time?
It sure does. Actually,
I'll allow it.
The homicidal maniac clown that is the star of the movie is dressed as Santa Claus for approximately 90% of the film. So
wow.
This is Terrifier 3, you said?
Correct.
So there's a 1 and 2?
Correct.
Should I watch them?
Yes. All of them in succession.
All
You're
right.
welcome in advance.
Thank you.
Coming in hot at number 3, and this is probably a little low for my list, but I've got 2 bangers ahead of it. So I just got Batman Returns, right? Phenomenal.
You're right.
First off,
You're right.
Michael Keaton, the best Batman. All right. I know that's debatable for some.
Okay.
I'll let that
go.
I mean, I'm a Batman fanatic as
I am too, dude.
Know. So that is up for debate, but certainly Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito as the Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer looking like a smoke show in black patent leather as Catwoman. Excellent.
That's Michelle
excellent
Pfeiffer?
Christmas film.
Yeah, she was a good one. She's
my
definitely I'll give you that. She's definitely the best sexiest Catwoman.
Absolutely.
I was not a fan of the new. What was the newest one? The Kravitz kid,
Zoe Kravitz.
I was not a fan or any of
Yeah,
that. Or
yeah. I mean, I like that movie.
Wasn't
but
Anne Hathaway one? Was
Anne Hathaway was? Yeah.
She does it for me too a little bit. But all right, okay.
Coming in number 2, classic Christmas Story. I've loved it since I was a kid. It was filmed right here in Cleveland. I know it gets a lot of hate. I
can't stand that fucking movie, dude.
It holds a special place in my heart.
Oh
because
god,
it's filmed right here in my hometown. And in the beginning of that movie, when they're going around and they're doing the window shopping, and he's looking at all the toys and stuff like that. My grandmother used to take me to that exact spot, which, Corey, you may recognize it because it's the outside of the casino now. It's still the Higbee building.
Oh, really?
But now there's a casino there because Higbee's doesn't really exist anymore. But yeah, so my grandmother used to take me downtown, and we'd look at all the cool toys in the window when I was a kid. And so yeah, certainly sentimental value. Before I hit number 1, I'm going to come in with an honorable mention. Another movie that gets a lot of hate that I still love, Polar Express. Tom Hanks, American hero there. And speaking of American,
he played
heroes,
a lot of those parts.
It's a very weird movie. Like, it's a strange movie, but
it is. That's what I love about it. And then coming in at number 1, the greatest Christmas movie of all time, hands down, Die Hard.
Oh my God,
John McClane, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Okay.
Yeah, I get down on that. I like that one.
It does not get any better than that, dude. So that's it.
Corey, you want to go next? I like.
Yeah, you know what's not a Christmas movie, by the way? Harry Potter. They're not. Whatever, dude.
A lot of those websites that you look at, they'll say they are if they came out at Christmas time. Like I was looking at one. It was the Chronicles of Narnia: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's not a Christmas movie. Great movie, great book.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, not a Christmas one.
Anyway, man, there's God. Now I'm looking at the list of all these things. I kind of already knew what I wanted to put in here, but we're gonna go with this. The Santa Claus, Tim Allen. That's my number
classic,
1.
Dude. I love it. Did we make this sweater? When you look at the tags, like, did we make that nice sweater? Did we?
Tim Allen is always like, you know how like an actor is like always a certain character for you, no matter what else they do in life, and no matter how old you get. Tim Allen's Santa Claus to me.
Well, he's had like obviously at Home Improvement, and then he had he's had like two or three other sitcoms. The one where he was like the manager of the Bass Pro Shop, essentially, which is pretty good. And he's got a new one out with Kat, whatever her name is. I can't think of her name. A brand new one where it's like the same type of show, right? He's a father. He's got a kid. You know what I mean? It's that same to your point, Corey. It's like the same humor, all that stuff. But he is great.
And if we're gonna, I'll shout out a scene in the Santa Claus as well. Possibly my favorite scene, and they're all great. The whole movie's great. Is when it's him and Charlie and a bunch of the other people walking down the hallway. I think they were like going to maybe the sleigh or whatever. And anyway, the song playing is "Gimme All Your Lovin'" ZZ Top. I like that little walk down. It's pretty sick. Anyway, and also the part where Neil's like, "I got my weenie whistle" or whatever, or it's a weenie whistle. Yeah. Remember?
Yeah,
that one's good too. And then so the other two, I gotta say, you guys don't even clown on me right now. I'm just prefacing with that. Don't come at me. Annabelle's Wish. I mean, it's the greatest thing. Like, dude, you don't know the meaning of life until you watch that movie.
Is that a horror movie?
No, it is about a cow that wants to become a reindeer. It's a cartoon, 1997.
Yeah, it's like a B-rated. I don't even know if you consider it a B-rated cartoon.
Oh my God. Okay.
This is like one of those ones you find in like the dollar bin at the store, Sean. Like you got to dig to the bottom of the dollar bin.
I would pay way more dollars for that movie. That's it's always been my favorite. It's like a childhood thing, and my dad showed it to me a long time ago, and it was very nostalgic and sentimental. Love Annabelle. She's a cow. She wants to become a reindeer. You got to watch it.
Okay.
And then, you know what? Let me go with number 3. There's so many movies that you can put in here, but we got to say The Grinch, Jim Carrey. I mean, phenomenal. It's a classic. 2003.
I don't know if it's a classic, but it is good.
Oh, it's a classic.
The story is a classic.
I think the
original cartoon, the
yeah.
original cartoon with Boris Karloff, classic.
I'm kind of surprised right now that Jim Carrey's getting this kind of hate, but you know,
I love Jim Carrey.
Whatever.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's. Sorry, dude. I think he's overrated.
I don't think he's
well,
overrated.
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say he's overrated. I'm not a huge fan of most of his type of comedy. I'm just not. It just wasn't, you know.
I don't
the
like.
thing is there are certain actors that can never get away from it. It's like they're always playing a different, a very, very similar version of themselves. And Jim Carrey is one of them. But that's not to say that he hasn't made some excellent movies.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, A Christmas Story, Greg. I don't know. It's never really done it for me either. But I would like to. You were saying that it was filmed up there. Isn't there like a house or something that you can go to? Or
yes. Now you can go to it now, but it was bought, and so there was the house that is Ralphie and his family's house, and then across the street is the gift shop. But they did sell it 2 years ago. So I honestly don't know if it's still up and running or not. But
gotcha. I guess. Were we supposed to do 5? All I got's 3 for you.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Just whatever you got. It was just kind of a let's do this thing. So I have I went a little different. So I can remember growing up, there was a Frosty the Snowman cartoon that like I just loved. I don't know why. It was just one of those things where the kids build him and he comes to life, right? And then he's melting and stuff. I just for some reason.
Wait a minute. Was that the one with Yukon Cornelius?
No, that's the Rudolph. That's the original.
Oh, that's Rudolph. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yep.
That's good.
Oh, here it is. Frosty the Snowman, 1969.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes.
Yep.
Sean, I like your direction because we all kind of glanced over the cartoons, and
then there was the
so
Santa
good.
Claus. Santa Claus is coming to town with like the almost robotic cartoon. You know what I mean? Like
animatronic weirdos.
Yeah, when they have the red on their face and stuff. Those were just classic favorites to me. I too, all the Santa Clauses. I think the original probably Corey, but the second and the third one were really good too. Like they were all like really good, especially the third one where he's like fully Santa Claus and in the North Pole, and they're just I don't know. I just really I enjoy all those. Jack Frost.
Oh yeah,
not the horror one. The one
not
with
the horror.
The one with Michael Keaton actually, and he plays the kid's dad who tragically dies, but comes back to life as Frosty the Snowman, and the kid's a hockey player and all that. Just great movie. Brings back great memories. I have them right here. Hold on.
Is Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger on that?
It's not in my list. It was an honorable mention. No, it was an honorable mention.
Great movie.
I really think it was an honorable mention. That was a good one. I'll Be Home for Christmas with Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Remember that one?
I don't know if I've seen that.
He he's like legitimately trying to get home for Christmas to be with his parents and like his girlfriend. And his girlfriend's like gonna dump him or something of that nature. There's some like he's got to get home from like college or something like that, and he just runs. It's a comedy. He just runs into like all this trouble along the way, and obviously the story, it comes, everything is good, right? You know what I mean? But I had that one. I had, let's see, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Steve Martin.
Oh,
great movie. Great movie. Just a phenomenal movie. He's the best, right? Steve Martin's one of the best.
John Candy's one of the best, man. One of the greatest.
Oh, well, that too. Yeah. No, absolutely. Trading Places.
Ooh, yes. I love it.
Yeah, I went that route. I think Home Alone has to be mentioned just because of how classic it is and how
of course
it was like defined us as an era, But I gotta be honest, dude. There was a movie. Macaulay Culkin was in another movie where he plays the stepbrother of this kid. I think we talked about this on the pod too. I know I've talked about it with somebody recently.
Was it the Thriller? The Good Son?
Yes,
The Good
it's
Son.
not a good movie. Not a good movie.
No,
where he basically like drops the kid off the cliff.
Yeah, he's like an evil
Yes.
stepbrother.
I remember seeing that movie like not too long after I saw Home Alone, and I just never, it was always stuck in my head. But I guess Home Alone has to be mentioned, right? I think the second one's probably the best in New York. I think so.
Well, I had this debate with somebody the other day, and yes, I firmly believe that even though the Home Alone is a good movie, I think 2 takes it. I think 2
has to take it. The 2 is just, you know, the sticky bandits, and just it was just great. You know, the weird homeless lady with the doves, and
the Talk Boy. Do you remember the Talk Boy that he has? The little the recorder thing.
Oh yes.
I had one of those as a kid. It was all I wanted for Christmas that year because I saw it.
Actually, I think I did too. I can't give any love to the Christmas Story. You know what it is with that one, Greg? I understand the nostalgia. Don't play it 24 hours in a row on loop every year. Don't. You can't.
No, I agree.
Can't do that. Same with Elf. I love Elf, but they'll do 24 hours of Elf. It just gets, and he's another one, Will Ferrell. God bless him. Same character all the time.
Yeah, but I love Will Ferrell.
I do too. But it like it's the same. It'd be like the movie Step Brothers is a great movie. I'm not watching it on loop for 24 hours. You know what I mean? But
I'm not watching any movie on loop. Not any Christmas movie on loop for 24 hours. No thanks.
I watched Step Brothers on loop for a couple of days when I was detoxing once.
Did it help you through?
God, no. Nothing did.
So I don't know. Those are some fun.
This house is a prison.
I do dig Die Hard though. Die Hard's a great movie. All the Die Hards were so good, man. Top Gun or not Top Gun. I know we're getting away from Chris. Well, no, we're not. Lethal Weapon has some Christmas scenes too.
It does.
I love the Lethal Weapons. Like, I'm not a big fan of watching movies like more than one time. Once I've seen it and I know exactly what's going on, I can't sit and watch the whole thing. I'll watch bits and pieces of it. But like when Lethal Weapons are on, I'll just record them and watch them at various points. I think they're just phenomenal. To your point, Corey, they were those movies in my really darkest days of addiction. Like when AMC would play all 4 of them back to back, like there was a sense of comfort in it. You know what I mean? There was like a sense of peace and comfort in watching those. So I go back to
those. Are great movies.
So anyways, all right, guys, let's wrap this up. We don't really have, like, we kind of were thinking about what we want to talk about. And again, this is going to be a kind of another extension of kind of holiday and family and us being sober. But I think Greg posed the specific idea of like, how do we, and maybe I need some help with the phrasing, but how do we show up for our families in the holidays? There were obviously many holiday seasons that all of us were too drunk or too stoned. If we were there, causing a scene, causing a ruckus, people worrying about us, trying to steal stuff. And then there were probably some that we just weren't there entirely and we're just off doing our own thing. Like, so how do we show up? What do we do that makes it special now that we're sober, upstanding members of society? So I'll start just because I typically do. I was thinking about this, and even in my addiction, I tried to balance family time during the holidays. And I have to be honest, because I was usually looking for a wallet to pickpocket. Like, I got to be totally honest. Like, that might not have been always my first overarching thought. Like, ooh, I'm going to Aunt so-and-so's house so I can steal money from people's wallets. But there was always like, upon arrival or as I'm there, I'm always kind of scouting out and looking for the gift or the money or the card or just whatever the case may be. And I'm not proud of that, but that's just who I was. And I think if you've listened to this podcast enough, you kind of know that's just kind of what we do when we're in our addiction. So, but I always, my parents are divorced. They have been for a long time. They're still pretty good friends. But so growing up, there was always the need to try to get to both sides of the family's house during the holidays. And today we add a third side because of my wife and she has her family in Pennsylvania and stuff. So it really is, it really can be difficult. I have a train going by. You guys, I'm sure, can probably hear that in my microphone, but let that subside just for a moment.
It's the Polar Express.
It's the Polar Express. Yes. It's
John,
not the bright line.
Do you go up to Pennsylvania? for Christmas?
So every other year, yes, that's
Every
what I
other
was
year.
that's kind of what I was. Funny you should ask. That's kind of what I was getting at because so what we'll do usually is we'll go up to Pennsylvania every other year. So we're going this year, and we didn't last year. And last year we obviously spent it here with my parents and my dad's side of the family and stuff like that, and my mom and dad and all that. But yeah, every other year we'll go up to Pennsylvania. And then when we get back, so like my mom is very, very Catholic. Suzanne's very Catholic, and they celebrate the Epiphany, which is also known as Little Christmas, which is January 6th, which here's pop quiz, guys. Who knows what the Epiphany is?
I've had like one in my life. I don't.
It's when the wise men actually arrived to the stable to see
I think
baby
you told
Jesus.
us this.
Yes.
Yeah.
January 6th, right? It wasn't on December 25th. So I think that's right. I might have that wrong, and if I have that wrong, my apologies, Suzanne. But I'm pretty sure that's right. And so we celebrate. So like we'll come back. We'll get back right before the new year, and we'll celebrate again with my mom and make it special, and to her and stuff like that. Thanksgiving went to my dad's side of the family. They're such good friends that my mom was invited to that. So that hasn't always kind of been the way. Not because they didn't get along, just because my mom had her sister here who RIP Aunt Michelle and other family. And there was always her side of the family was always doing stuff. And then my dad's side was always doing stuff. And a lot of times, you can only be at 1-3 o'clock family dinner at a time. You know what I mean? You can't be in both places at once. But I think a big thing now is like, especially going to Pennsylvania, like my wife doesn't get to see her mom and her family all that often anymore, right? We see my parents all the time because they're 35, 45, 50 minutes away. Her brother's obviously here, but she doesn't get to see her cousins and her nieces and nephews and her other brothers and her mom and aunts and uncles and stuff like that very often. So I really try to not stay out of the way. That's not the right way to put it, because I'm part of the family and I'm included in everything and I'm a part of, and I get along great with her family. I really, really, I got super lucky with my in-laws. I really enjoy hanging out with them. They're awesome people. But there is a sense of like, I need to just let my wife kind of do her thing when we're up there, because it's important to her. She goes and hangs out with some of her girlfriends from high school that are still in that area. And, we always go to a few recovery groups together and see some of her old crowds. So like, that's always good, but it's really taken on an interesting role. And I've talked to my sister-in-law, Katie, Kyle's wife, and my other sister-in-law, Rachel, who's married to Catherine's oldest brother, Brian, and how we're all obviously part of the family, like I said, but there is something slightly different when you're not one of the blood relatives. You know what I mean? There just is. And there's a role that we all have to play. And the first few times, like, it wasn't that I was like jealous about it at all, because I really wasn't, but I felt, if I'm being honest, my wife doesn't listen to this podcast anyways, but if I'm being honest, I always felt a little left out to a very, very small degree, not by the family, but sometimes just by her. Like she was just so busy, and I don't think it was conscious. I don't think she meant to do it at all. And as the years have gone by, I've just fully embraced that. And I'll go off and go to a recovery group by myself sometimes, or I love going to play golf when I'm up there, because it's, I just get to go out. So I've totally embraced it, and I'm fully okay with it. And I want her to have the best time she can, simply because she doesn't get to see family and that stuff as much anymore. So that's kind of where my mind went with this. You guys can take it any direction you want. But plus, got to shout out my mother-in-law, Diana Lynn. There's always food at that house. Like, you go in and she's one of the moms that there's like little candied nuts over here and cookies and little cranberry icing bread and this and that. And there's just always food, which I love. So that's all. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. Yeah, and I like what you said. I always think about, or do my best to recall, like what it used to be like when I was getting high and everything like that. And it's the best way I can put it is that my relationships, especially my relationships with my family, were always transactional. Even when I was trying to be heartfelt, even when I was trying to, better myself or, quote unquote show up for the family. It was always transactional. What can I get out of you? And not even just like you were talking about, like, yeah, I was looking for $20 or
Right,
however
right.
many bucks I could find or for whatever was worth money. But even when it wasn't like that, it was, emotional transactions, right? I want everybody to feel sorry for me, to feel bad for me, to, like stuck in that victim mentality that a lot of us can get wrapped up in, So for me now, it's just doing the opposite of that, right? Like, so what can I do to be present for my family? Like I've mentioned before, my girlfriend's got a big family, so it's cool going over there and seeing, how they all interact with each other. Because when I was a kid, it was very much like, it was always split, so it'd be, I'd be with my mom's family, for half the day, and then
Yeah,
we'd be running
same.
around to another part of the family, from my dad's side or whatever. And to see a whole family, like her family, which is this big, huge family, all together under one roof, everybody having a good time. Nobody's throwing anything across the room or screaming at the drug addict's son who's nodded off in the corner or anything like that. It's a cool thing to experience, right? I guess
The nodding off ginger in the corner.
exactly. The guy that's passed out in his mashed potatoes, but yeah, it's really cool. And yeah, it is kind of too for her, let her do her thing. But she is always very much like, makes me feel included, and so does her family. They're just a great bunch of people, and they've instantly, all of them have in their own kind of way, like, made me a part of their gatherings and whatnot. So they've been very cool, very accommodating. But yeah, like for my own family, man, just be present, show up, again, a lot of times, like, around the dinner table, like the recovery aspect gets brought up here and there, and they want to, shower me with praise, and I'm very, very uncomfortable with it. And I just try to remain humble about it, and, let people know that I've got an ear if they need an ear, and leave it at that. I like to cook. I've always liked to cook, so I kind of like really take that upon myself, and again try to just stay humble with that as well. And like, hey, I'm not doing this for any recognition or pat on the back. I don't need you to come tell me that my macaroni and cheese is good. I'll
I
admit to you
freaking know it
guys,
was good.
yeah, I know that shit is good. but honestly, I just do it because I want to be able to give back any way I can, because for a long time I was the taker,
Yep.
So what can I do to give back and be there for my family? Getting to be there for my niece and nephew, man, is awesome. I wish I got to see them more on Christmas. They live in Nevada, halfway across or all the way across the country. But getting to buy presents and be a part of their lives is just amazing as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a big one. One of Catherine's little nephews, Braden. Shout out to Braden. He's a cool kid, man. I think he's just younger than Sophia, if I have that right. But the kid loves sports. Absolute baseball fanatic. And like when we were there, I think this was last October, because we were there up in that area for my friend's wedding. All he wanted to do with me, because I he's old enough where we talk about baseball, is watch these YouTube videos of this guy who just opens baseball cards and like goes through them.
Oh yeah.
He loves it. And they give like a little brief oral history about each card and the player and the stats. And I love it, because I'm like, yeah, like, oh, let's look at that. We're just sitting there together and just.
Dude, did you collect cards as a kid?
Oh yeah.
I had books
Tops.
of them. So it's so wild to see that kind of stuff.
The holographic back. Ones. Yeah. I love it. I loved it.
Huge into that. Yeah.
And so yeah. Corey, how do you show up for your family, Corey?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Good stuff by the both.
Well, you guys always host everything, so
we host a lot of things.
That's a big thing. That's a big deal.
It makes our heart happy, as a family.
That's small. What is it? The small from the Grinch pea-sized heart, or whatever.
I'll tell you, every time I'm in town, it makes my belly happy. So
yeah. Yep.
It's a good time at the Missioner household.
I will say, Sean, I'll ditto everything you said about your in-laws. I feel the same way about mine, to be honest, and I do feel very fortunate because of that. Because I feel like the in-law is such a, you know, stereotype sometimes. But I get along with all mine, and Gabby's mom.
You were real close to not getting along with all of them a few years ago, there, bud. That could have gone. That could have gone a different way.
No,
but yes, I know. I saw how they are around you. I agree. I would agree.
Gabby's mom is Ma to me. I call her Ma, and that's
and the wind stopped blowing.
Yeah. So, and we've been up there for holidays and stuff, and it's chaotic. You know what I mean? I'm not okay. I'll say this, and then I have something else to say. I've never Italian holidays are wild.
Yes.
Why? Because I didn't grow up with that. Okay, so like the first time
they do the 7 fish Christmas Eve dinner.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great. But it's a little. There's a lot going on there.
But there's there's 20 to 30 people. Okay, and it amazes me how many conversations can be happening across the room from each other at once, and nobody's getting pissed at each other.
Nope.
Nobody's like, "Yo, I'm talking over here." Like, no, they just do their conversations, and everybody just gets along. I mean, gets along.
Sometimes, it sounds like it because they can all be very loud.
That's how they. I mean, I live with that.
How they talk.
Gabby doesn't watch either, so I say whatever the hell I want.
Janine knows nothing. Doesn't know nothing about that either. With last name LaRusso, maiden name LaRusso.
Yeah. So I want to say this as far as the topic posed here. The last Christmas I remember spending with either parent was a year or two before I got sober, I think, and I somehow managed to show up for Christmas Eve dinner at my dad's house. And I probably wasn't in the best shape, but I didn't like ruin anything like openly or anything like that. But this night stuck with me and still does today because I did show up to see my stepmother and my dad, and I think my grandmother is probably there. However, I had an idea in my head the entire time was that I got to ask my dad for some money. And before I left at the end of the night, I asked him for some money. I don't remember if it was a dollar amount or whatever. I do remember the dollar amount he gave me, though, because any drug addict would appreciate this. He gave me $18. Okay. So
You've told me this story.
I don't know if he knew what he was doing, but I was also like staying across the bridge at the time, so that's $5 right there. Unless you just want to blow through the whole thing. What I've never told him about this story, because I don't know what he thought when he gave me that money anyway, was that afterwards he's gonna listen to this and be pissed. Afterwards, I drove up to Camden, New Jersey to score, and with whatever, I know I had to put something in the gas tank, so I probably only had $10 of that left over. And I was going to be getting sick soon. I was going to start withdrawing soon, and I really needed something to get through. This is Christmas Eve, mind you. It is late. I drive into Camden, New Jersey, and I go to the first corner I find, buy from somebody that I've never bought from, probably. It was a corner I was familiar with, but I didn't recognize the dude. That didn't matter there. I scored, and then I drove back down the highway, stopped at the quickest Wawa I could find to get high. And as I opened this substance, it poured out onto me.
Yes.
Onto my stomach, okay? And then I realized that the bag was ripped open. And I went, what the hell? And then I realized I just got sold flour. So that $18 got me nowhere. I spent Christmas Eve sick and just literally wanting to die the next day. Just awful. So that was the joyous Christmas season for me in active addiction, you know. Grateful that it's not been like that for a long time, but that was that. So the answer to the question is the same thing you guys said, really. I just, today it's about the kids. Today my dad isn't getting asked for $18. I got to spend the last couple years with my dad for Christmas. Like, he came down here, spent it with us and stuff, and that was a whole thing. Like, him getting to watch his grandchildren open gifts.
Sure.
Is something else.
Yep.
And it's about the kids, man. We try to give them the best Christmas possible, and that doesn't mean all the gifts, although like I do take some pride in that too, because I like to see my kids open gifts, obviously. But it's all about the things that you do. We go to see the mansion that's all lit up. We go, all the parades and whatever I can do.
We teach them what it's really about: being with family and giving to others.
Yeah, exactly. And
Jesus,
this year, I'll end with this. This year,
Santa
and Santa
and the elf
on
the shelf.
I hate that guy. Anyway, sorry.
Saw a really funny SNL clip about voyeurism and the elf on the shelf. That's all.
I'll end with this. This year my mom's coming down, so this is gonna be the first time I spent Christmas with my mom in many years. And
nice.
That's I will miss my dad this Christmas, but now my mom gets to come down here. Nice. He does a new job and he's been busy. So
nice, very cool.
Yeah, man, just doing it.
Good stuff, guys. That's it. We're gonna wrap up. I would be remiss if I didn't completely change topics for a moment and just say Juan Soto, 15 years, $765 million.
That's $51 million per year.
We're gonna table that conversation because we're out of time tonight. But like, professional sports might be broken, guys. Like, it truly just might be completely broken. And it's,
have you guys? I will say this, and we can bring it up next week. There's a lot of videos online right now where you can see, like, back in July, they interview all these New Yorkers. They're like, "Was Juan Soto going to go to the Mets?" They're like, "No way, he's done it." And then
he went to their rival.
And they're just crying. I love it. I love it.
Another episode. Shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send in mailbag requests for topics, questions, and comments to any of these handles. Remember, we are all here. If anyone wants to talk about recovery and our experiences, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night. God bless. May you trudge the road of happy destiny. We will see you next week.